kumwe na IT engineer Irari Soso guturuka muri Isotech Limited, kampani nziza cyane rwose uwayigannye ntajya yicuza. Dukora ibintu biri mu bwoko bwa plastic, tugakora AI, tugakora IoT ndetse na small robots. Uko iminsi izagenda yiyongera tuzagenda dushyiramo n'ibindi bitandukanye. Dukora mobile application nk'uko uri kubibona, tugakora software development, networking, server management, cyber security, hariho twigamo ethical hacking n'ibindi bitandukanye. Ku bintu bijyanye na data mining, data warehouse, research methodology, ku bantu bakeneye gukoresha project ni karibu. Yego, umuntu rero uhedinze muri kumubona ni IT engineer Irari Soso, ni professional, ibintu nkora ntabwo nshakisha ibyo nize. Urumva narabyize. Dukomereze n'isomo ryacu. Iyo tuvuze Flutter ujye utekereza framework. Iyi framework ije gukora iki? Mu buzima busanzwe twari dusanzwe dukoresha Android Studio, nubwo nayo tuzayikenera. Android Studio inshuro nyinshi twajyaga dukoresha Java, ariko tugiye kwibanda ikintu bita Flutter. Iyi Flutter irahita idutwara kuri programming language yakozwe n'uruganda rwa Google. Yego, ukuvuga ngo yashyizwemo akaboko n'uruganda rwa Google. Iyo programming language yitwa Dart programming language. Ikiza cyayo rero ni ikihe? Ikora desktop application, igakora web application, igakora na mobile application. Tuvuze mobile application, utekereza native, utekereze hybrid, utekereze na web. Native ni nk'uko tuba dufite setup mu mashini yitwa desktop. Western ifite setup, ifite package. Package ikagira batches, ikagira twa tundi twose ujya ubona tugize setup. Rero native ni ubwoko bwa software ikora offline, Western muri Play Store cyangwa Apple Store. Biterwa n'ikiragano cya device uri gukoresha uruganda cyakorewemo. Reka turebe inshoza. Definition of Flutter Mobile App. Flutter Mobile is a cross-platform mobile application development framework created by Google that allow developers to build high-performance applications for Android and iOS using a single code base written in data programming language. Flutter uses a widget-based architecture where user interfaces are created using reusable components called widgets, enabling developers to design modern, responsive, and interactive mobile applications. Ukuvuga ngo hano nk'uko mwabibonye ni nabivuze native mobile app, Flutter na desktop. Ibi ni ibintu ibasha gukora. Iyo tuvuze Flutter Mobile ni ihuriro ry'ama-platform, urukomatane rw'ama-platform ya mobile application rudufasha mu kurema software twifashishije iyi framework yavuye mu ruganda rwa Google Chrome. Yego, uruganda rwa Google. Rero hano dukora software za Android, iOS, tugakora na desktop. Hano twabyerekanye ku ifoto. Develop mobile for web and desktop. Okay. Key features of Flutter mobile app: single code base, develops Android and iOS app from the same source code. Hari abantu benshi bajya babangamirwa n'ikibazo cya classes, ama inheritance. Kwa ngo iyo dufite Flutter ihita igabanya umubare w'ama classes. Babizi muri classes, object oriented programming, umuntu wayize uyizi neza azi ko tugira icyo bita object tukagira na class. Object muri physics ndumva mubizi neza ni ikintu cyose kiri exist kibaho, yaba igihumeka n'ikidahumeka. Muri physics murabizi, intebe ni object, computer ni object, umuntu ni object, gusa ahantu bitandukanira tugira icyo bita quantities, scalar na vector. Hari ikintu kiba gifite ingano magnitude and direction, cyo tucyita vector. Noneho hakaba n'ikintu gifite magnitude only, icyo ni scalar. Intebe nta position nta vision igira, ariko umuntu agira vision ubwo kubera ahora amuvinga ari muri motion, ari muri vector. Afite volume turamubona, arabyibushye, ni muremure, ni inzobe, mugufi, uko umubona afite n'icyerekezo. Umubajije ngo uragana he, uretse y'abanyarwanda ariko abaza ahagana. Fast development uses hot reload for quick test and user interface updates. Hano iyo uri gukora ama user interface bita byoroha. Murabyibuka ukuntu twajyaga tubikora muri Android, na n'ubu turabikora. Cyangwa iyo uri gukora web isanzwe, ukenera HTML, JavaScript, CSS n'ibindi. Ku buryo bwa web hari uburyo dukoresha ama CDN cyangwa tugakoresha za React JS, tugakoresha Angular na Vue. Hano rero mu cyimbo cyo gukoresha XML irambuye cyane dukoresha Flutter, tugashyiramo code nkeya kandi zikora vuba, ku buryo user interface bisa neza, umukiriya yaza nta kunyuzamo ijisho. Rega icyo dushaka ni ukureshya abakiriya. A beautiful user interface provides customizable widgets for building attractive interfaces. Ni ukuvuga ngo iduha uburyo bw'amahitamo atandukanye, uburyo twakoresha widgets zitandukanye twihitiyemo, kubyumva, noneho tukarema ikintu, tukubaka ikintu gikurura abantu, ishusho, urukuta rukurura abantu, rubashimisha. High performance compilers to native machine codes for smooth execution. Ni ukuvuga ngo hano igenda ikora compile. Murabizi muri compiler tugiramo utuntu dutandukanye, tugira debug, tukagira testing, tukagira compiler, tukagira running. Nyine ni uburyo bwo kudeployinga ugava muri source code ukajya kuri running mode, interface kwereka result, ibisubizo. Hano rero ibikora neza, idahuzagurika, ibiri smooth, bikora neza ku murongo. Open source supported by a larger developer community. Supported by ifashwa n'itsinda rigari cyane ry'abadeveloper. Urumva kubera ariyo mu ruganda rwa Google, kandi abantu bose bakaba bari gukoresha Google Trust as security certificates. Nizo dukoresha cyane iyo twahostinze kugira ngo abahaka batakwinjira. Dukoresha za protocols TLS na SSL. SSL rero kugira uyibone uyikura kuri Google. Yego, murabizi ko niyo search engine tunyuraho tudeployinga skills zacu, tushaka no gukora advertisement iri global. Urumva rero natwe iyo turi gukoresha Flutter tuba dufite amahirwe menshi yuko tutari bube stuck, tutari sitare. Supports multiple platforms. Yemerera platforms zitandukanye. Buriya nko mu ruganda rwa Microsoft hari ikibazo kirimo, bafite limitation, bakora ama Windows, ariko Chrome mwarabonye ko ikora hardware igakora software, by'umwihariko igakora mobile app, mobile OS, igakora na operating system zo mu mashini. Chrome OS ndumva muyizi, kandi mwabonye ko ni fresh. Nubwo software nyinshi zitaraza ziraninga muri Chrome, ariko uko ibihe bigenda biha ibindi twaba turi kwimprovinga ino Flutter. Nitumara gukora ama setup ashoboka ari yose ashoboka, Chrome izahita isiga uruganda rw'iki rwa Microsoft. Mujye mubireba. Kandi icyiza cyayo nta stress nyinshi, ibibazo bya security biba bivuyeho, ibibazo by'amavirusi biba bivuyeho. Ikindi iba ikoresha email yawe, kandi murabizi ko Chrome itanga space runaka iri free, ariko uruganda rwa Microsoft ikintu cyose ni ukwishyura. Okay. Android, iOS, Web, Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Ni ukuvuga ngo aha hantu hose wakora, ntugire ikibazo cyo kuvuga ngo ko mfite Linux, ko mfite Mac OS, feel free, Flutter iraninga hose. Uri kubona rero features ziyiranga, imisusire yayo karemano. Flutter is based on a data. Ino data programming language niho ishingiye. Nkuko tuvuga ngo IoT ibezinga kuri C na C++ programming. Kuvuga ngo Android Studio ibezinga kuri Java na Servlet. Ni ukuvuga ngo iyi nayo ibezinga kuri data programming. Open source, buri wese arayikoresha, iri free. Quick and simple code writing. Kuvuga ngo kwihuta no gukora code zoroshye. Less testing, uburyo bwa gusuzuma buroroshye, ntabwo isaba ibintu birebire, bisaba ubwenge bwinshi. Smooth performance, ikora ibintu mu buryo bufinyoye, ntabwo ihuzagurika, igenda ku murongo ikosoye neza. In simple terms, mu buryo rero bwumvikana bworoshye, Flutter Mobile app is a technology used to create mobile apps fast and more efficiently by writing one application that can run on multiple mobile platforms. Tuvunaguye iyi introduction, ubu nibwo tugiye gutangira isomo. Kuvuga ngo Flutter ni technology ikoreshwa mu kurema gahunda za telefone ngendanwa mu buryo bwihuse, kandi ikaba ifite ibintu, ikaba ikosotse, imeze neza cyane, aho twandika application imwe, dukora application imwe, noneho ikaba yabasha kuraninga muri platform zitandukanye. Twazibonye Linux, Mac OS, iOS, Windows na Android. Yego, hari n'izindi zaje zitwa KaiOS, XOS, ziriya zo muri Imagine, za Mobicel n'iki. Ubwo ni ubwoko bw'ama operating system agenda aza. Nawe wayikora rega operating system, wayikora muri South Africa ko bakoze Ubuntu, nawe rero feel free wabikora. Element of competence, tugiye kureba ibintu tugiye kurebaho, ibi nibyo bintu tuzibandaho cyane. Understand Flutter fundamentals, build user interfaces, implement navigation, handle user input, manage application states, work with the local data, connect to API, application program interfaces, integrate Firebase as a database, build secure authentication systems, work with device features, develop offline capable applications, improve application performance, test Flutter applications, deploy mobile applications, develop complete mobile applications, apply software engineering best practices. Ni ukuvuga ngo ni ibintu 16 tuzareba. Let's go. Understand Flutter fundamentals. Okay. Explain what Flutter is and how it works. Flutter is the Google's open source user interface toolkit for building beautiful, high-performance mobile, web, and desktop applications from single codebase. It uses the Data programming language and a widget-based architecture. Flutter compiles directly into native machine code, ensuring fast performance. Developers create user interfaces by combining reusable widgets, enabling consistent design and efficient cross-platform development. In other words, uburyo twabivugamo ni ukuvuga ngo Flutter ni open source user interface toolkit, ni igikoresho cya Google kiri free kugikoresha, ntabwo cyishyurwa, kirema interface nziza cyane, software zo mu matelefone zifite ubushobozi bwo hejuru, ama web na desktop, kandi ukoresheje code imwe, iyo bita Flutter. Ni framework nyine, ntabwo bisaba gushyiramo amakarasi menshi, ama inheritance, polymorphism n'ibintu bitandukanye. Rero iyo imaze kudukorera user interface nziza, duhita twongeraho y'ama controllers, tugashyiraho na database, ubundi tugahita tumurika. Installation. Install and configure the Flutter development environment. Objective. Set up a complete Flutter development environment for building, testing, and running Flutter applications. Intego hano, icyo tugiye kureba hano, nubwo ari theory turimo, ariko na practice tuzazikora, ariko urabanza ukamenya ibintu, ukajya kubishyira mu ngiro. Twiga ubumenyi ngiro, ntabwo twiga ingiro bumenyi. Tujye tubyana science transformation into technology. Hano rero turareba ku kintu bita gusoza setup, uburyo bwo kubaka, ubwo harimo download n'iki na building, connecting n'ibiki. Turebe testing, dusuzume, tunarunning. Si byose Flutter yacu. Steps, intambwe ku ntambwe. Install Flutter SDK and add it to system path. Murabyuka muri system environment uburyo tujya kwestaramo, tujya gushyiramo ya link ya Flutter. Murabyuka muri environment twongeramo iyi path kugira ngo ize kuyumva ino SDK. Install Android Studio or VS Code with a Flutter and related plugins. Ushobora kwestara Android Studio cyangwa ugashyiramo VS Code. Murabizi ko VS Code ni lightweight, yemera extension zose. VS Code niyo text editor dufite, washyiramo extension zose ukaraninga ikintu kibaho, cyaba IT, cyaba programmer, cyaba computer scientist, cyose kuba uzi gukonfigura no gushyiramo extension. VS Code rero ihuza platform zose, ifite ama library yose, iri general, ntabwo iri specific ku kintu kimwe. With a Flutter and native plugins, ugashyiramo ya plugins yayo kaga extension. Install Android SDK and create an Android virtual device, AVD, Android virtual device. Iyi ni iyo twestaramo kugira ngo tujye tubona aho turaningira mu gihe turi muri testing, ariko iyo umaze gusoza neza uhita ushyiraho icyo bita connect physical devices, ugashyiraho ya telefone yawe, ugashyiraho USB, ukadeployinga ya app ikajya muri Play Store telefone yawe. Run Flutter Doctor to verify the installation and fix any detected issues. Create and test your first Flutter project using Flutter. Create my app and Flutter run. Muri kubona hano iyo turi kuraninga dukoresha keyword yitwa Flutter Doctor kugira ngo tuverifyinge ko installation yabaye complete, yabaye successful, ndetse tunadetectinge error yaba irimo. Urabizi ko aba IT twebwe dushinzwe kugenda dukora ubutasi bw'ibibazo, twe turi abanyabibazo. Twebwe duhura n'ibibazo tugaha abandi ibisubizo, nicyo gituma duhora kuri computer, turaho mu rukari. Niba warize IT uri umuprograma, icyo waba icyo cyose, niba utabona ikibazo, uri intambwe imwe kugira ngo ube umuturage usanzwe. Rwose. Learning outcomes. Uh, Successful installation, configure, and verify a Flutter development environment ready for cross-platform mobile app development. Understand. Second point, understand the Flutter project structure. Objectives, learn purpose. Learn the purpose of the main folders and files in a Flutter project. As you know, nk'uko muri kubibona hano, as you see, mubizi kandi muri kubibona, ino Flutter iri kutwereka project structure y'iki? Ya folder. Hano dufite user interface, tukagira widget, tukagira animation, tukagira layouts. Layouts harimo icyo bita themes, screens and views, tukagira consistent, bimwe bidahinduka, tukagira icyo bita business logics, block na habits, tukagira repository, services, models, tukagira APIs based clients tugendeye ku bakiriya. Noneho tugahita tujya kuri Firebase, ubwo ni database muri serivisi dufite. Cognito, tukagira icyo bita cloud functions. Key components bigize lib contains the main data source codes. Example, main.dati. Android and iOS / is a platform specific native codes and configurations. Web / Windows / Linux / macOS / is a platform specific files for web and desktop apps. Assets / stores images, fonts, and other application resources. PubSpec.yarn manages projects metadata. Metadata means data about data. Details, more properties, preferences, independencies, and assets. Test / contains unit and widget tests. Learning outcome. Identify the purpose of the main Flutter projects, files, and files, and understand how they work together to build a cross-platform application. Use that programming language fundamentals. Objective. Apply the basic concept of the data programming language to develop Flutter applications. Hano rero tugeze kuri gukoresha data programming language fundamentals. Ni ukuvuga ngo hano ntabwo turatangira kwiga data programming language, ariko nayo ndaza kuzakurikizaho iri somo ryayo kugira noneho tujyane neza 5 noneho tuzahite turaninga dukore projet turangize dukora ibisubizo by'ibibazo isi ifite, si ibyo se? Let's go. Key components, key concepts, variable and data types. We mean int, means integer, double, string, boolean, list, map, and so on. Operators and expressions, arithmetic operation, add, minus, subtract, division, and so on. Comparison, less, greater, less than or equal, not equal. Logics, okay, logics, andi, nandi, or, and so on. Assignment operators, double equals, control flow, if condition, else, switch, for, while, do while loops. Functions, define, call, and use parameters, and return values. Object-oriented programming, OOP, classes, objects, constructors, inheritance, and encapsulation. Hano rero uhita uza ukareba key features of that. That programming ni object-oriented programming, strong typing, there you go. Garbage collection, Git, AOT, compilation, asynchronous programming, igenda izihuzahuza offline na online. Ushaka gukora sisiteme z'ibigo by'amashuri, murabizi ko abarimu badahuje ubushobozi, koresha dati. Noneho ajya ashyiramo amanota, nta interineti afite, nageraho online ikora icyo bita asynchronizing, iyahuze n'ari online, bino bicamo abana batabona biroti at a time ku gihe. Learning outcome demonstrates the use of dati programming, fundamentals to write efficient, readable, and maintainable Flutter applications. Bullet user interfaces, UI, create responsive mobile interfaces. Ikintu cya mbere tuba dushaka hano ni ugukora application software iri adaptable, ishobora gukora muri different screen size. Koko can work efficiently and effectively in different screen size, maybe smartwatch, flat, projector, and so on. Use a Flutter widgets like stateless widgets and stateful widgets. Design attractive layouts using row, column, stack, container, list view, grid view. Apply themes, colors, icon, and fonts. Create a responsive mobile interface. Objective. Design and develop responsive Flutter user interfaces that adapts to different screen size, from mobile device to the largest flat or projector, and device orientation. It can be portrait or landscape or square. Okay. Key concepts: Flutter layout widgets, container, rows, column, stack, expanded, and fixable. Responsive design: use media query, layout builder, and responsive sizing techniques. Navigation: implement screen navigation using layouts and navigator. User interface components: build interfaces with material design widgets such as scaffold, app bar, text, image, button, and list viewer. Adaptive layout: optimize user experience for phones, tablets, and different screen resolutions. You can see your image. Okay. Learning outcome: create responsive, user-friendly mobile interfaces that provide a consistent experience across different devices and screen size. Uri kubona hano screen zigiye zitandukanye ariko app igenda yiyadawuta fitting ku buryo hataza kugira ikintu gicika, kuko umuhamagaro wacu ni ugutanga information, providing effective information. Rero iyo bicitse urumva se communication iba itabaye stuck, yafeirinze. Niyo mpamvu rero ugomba gukoresha ibintu biri responsive kugira ngo fitting, better fitness according to the screen size. Okay. Use a Flutter widgets, stateless widgets, stateful widgets. Objective: develop Flutter applications using stateless widgets and stateful widgets to create a dynamic and interactive user interfaces. Okay. Stateless, cya mbere tugira icyo bita constructor, tugahita tujya kuri bullet, nta bintu byinshi. Stateful, tugira constructor, tukagira create state function as method, initiate state, build state function, constructor, the updates widgets function, build. States, set state widget then buried. Uri kubona stateful irimo akantu k'inzira ndende, noneho stateless ni iy'ubusamo. Ariko zose zirakenewe bitewe n'icyo ugiye gukora. Bitewe n'icyo ugiye gukora. Kuko buriya ikibazo ufite kigena tekinike, amagezo, strategies unyuramo kugira ngo ukemure ibibazo. Key concepts: stateless widgets, buried user interface components with immutable data. Okay, stateful widgets create interactive widgets that update when the state changes. Widgets 3. Understand how widgets are organized and rendered. State management basics: use set state function methods to update the user interface. Widget composition combines reusable widgets to build scalable applications. Stateless vs stateful. Stateless: input data. Data can change externally. Widgets: renders user interface. Gets renders when input data changes. Stateful: input data. Data can change externally. Widgets: internal state. Renders user interface. Get rendered when input data or local state changes. Learn outcomes: develop Flutter applications by effectively using stateless widgets and stateful widgets to create responsive, usable, and interactive user interfaces. Okay. Design attractive layout using adaptive programming language and Flutter. Objectives: creating visually appealing and responsive Flutter user interfaces using layout widgets and material design principles. Key concepts: layout widgets, row, column, star, container, list view, and grid view. Styling: apply themes, colors, typography, fonts, and icons for a consistent user experience. Spacing and alignment: use padding, margin, align, and center to organize user interface elements effectively. Materials design: build modern, intuitive, and accessible interfaces using Flutter's material components. Responsive design: ensure layout adapts to different screen sizes and orientations. Apply themes, colors, icons, and fonts. Objective: customize Flutter applications with consistent themes, colors, icons, and typography to enhance the user experience. Key concepts: themes. Themes allows to create and apply light and dark themes using theme data. Colors: use a consistent color palette to improve visual appeal and usability. Icons: add material icons and custom icons to enhance navigation and interaction. Fonts: apply bulletin and custom fonts to improve readability and branding. User interface consistency: maintain a uniform look and feel across all application screens. Sorry. Flutter applications apply themes, colors, icons, and fonts to create visually appealing, consistent, and professional Flutter applications. Ni ukuvuga ngo hano tugiye kureba ukuntu umuntu yashyiramo themes. Iyo tuvuze themes ni templates, guhindura background, gushyiraho background image, background color, background videos, ushobora gushyira icyo ushaka, gradients n'ibindi bitandukanye. Colors ni color z'amatext, color z'amaheading, color z'amaparagraph n'izindi zitandukanye. Icons ni uturango tugenda dushushanya. Hari ukuntu uba udashaka kwandika amagambo menshi, urabizi ko screen ya telefone iba ari nto, ugashyiraho icon. Umuntu abona agakaramu akamenya icyo uvuze, yabona aka basket akamenya icyo uvuze. Nabonye akantu kameze nk'icyapa banyuramo bazengurutse mu muhanda, uhita umenya ko ari ikizi. Ni setting, ni hamwe bakora update. Sawa sawa. Fonts ku bintu bijyanye n'imikono, yego niho amafonts yibera, ushyiraho bold, italic n'ibindi. Ibyo rero bigatuma isa neza kandi idahuzagurika, ifite ibintu bisa neza, ari ya kinyamwuga ikozwe muri Flutter applications. Okay. Learning outcomes: design attractive, responsive, user-friendly flat interfaces using layout, widgets, themes, colors, icons, and fonts while following material design best practices. Implement navigation. Navigation is to navigate between multiple screens, pass data between pages, implement drawer, menus, buttons, navigation bar, and tabs. Hano twatanze ingero implementation of navigation drawer. Ushobora gukora navigation y'uruhande rw'iburyo, ibumoso, hejuru, hasi, no muri hagati, center, mo hagati, in the middle. Navigation between multiple screens. Objective: implement navigation to move seamlessly between different screens in a Flutter application. Key concepts: navigator. Use a navigator class to manage screen transitions. Routes. Defines and navigate using named and anonymous routes, passing data, send and receive data between screens. Navigation methods: use push methods, pop method, and push replacement method for screen management. User experience: create smooth and intuitive navigation flows. Zino navigation methods nizo dukoresha push, pop na push replacement kugira ngo tumanaginge screen yacu. Tuzajya tugera ahantu hari aga screen gatoya ipushinge ikore pop na replace, yego ijye yiyadabuta bitewe na screen uko ingana. Learning outcomes. Learning outcome: implement multi-screen navigation in Flutter applications using routes and the navigator class while passing data effectively between screens. Pass data between pages. Okay. Noneho ukuntu amakuru agiye kunyura muri pages zitandukanye, electronic pages, user interfaces. Means to transfer data between different screens to build interactive and dynamic Flutter applications. Key concepts: constructor parameters. Pass data to another page using widgets constructors. Named routes with arguments. Sends data using routes arguments. Receive data. Access and display data on the destination screen. Return data. Send results back to previous screen using navigator.pop methods. Data management ensure accurate and efficient data flow between pages. Learning outcome. Pass and receive data between Flutter pages using constructors, routes, arguments, and navigation methods to create interactive applications. Implement drawer menus, bottom, navigation bars, and tabs. Objective: develop intuitive navigation systems using drawer, menus, bottom, navigation bars, and tab-based interfaces in Flutter applications. You can see navigation drawer, bottom navigation, bottom dialog box. Key concepts: navigation drawer, create side menus using a drawer widgets. Bottom navigation bar, switch between primary screen using bottom navigation bar. Tab navigation, implement tabs with tab bar and tab bar viewer. Navigation management handles user interactive and screen transitions efficiently. Responsive navigation, design navigation components that provides a consistent user experience across different devices. Okay. Implement drawer menus, buttons, navigation bars, and tab-based navigation to create organized, responsive, and user-friendly Flutter applications. Handle user input. We deal with forms, electronic form. Create a form using text field and text form field. Text field and text form field. We use to validate user inputs to allow or deny the data entry. Handle buttons, checkboxes, switches, radio buttons, and drop-down menus. Okay. Create forms using text fields and text form fields. Objective: build interactive forms to create, to correct, validate, and process user input in the Flutter applications. Let me see. Text field, capture basic user inputs. Basic user inputs. Ni ukuvuga ngo text field ikikora iyo amakuru umuntu yinjiza irayafata. Iza input zose tujye dukoresha. Text form field creates form with built-in validation forms. Iyi ngiyi idufasha gukora form ifite inkumirizi validation ziri built-in ziremanye nayo. Form widgets group multiple input field using the form widgets. Ni itsinda rya input field zahurijwe hamwe zikora form widget. Okay. Input validation, validate user input using validators and error messages. Iyi ngiyi ishinzwe gukumira ibyo umuntu yinjiza, yego, ikabyemera cyangwa igatanga error message, allow or deny the user inputs. Controllers manage and retrieve input using text editing controller. ku bijyanye na controller ishinzwe management, ibyinjiye, ibisohoka, n'ibikeneye kweditingwa. Okay? Create a user-friendly form using text field and text form field. Validate user inputs and process form data effectively in Flutter applications. Validate user input. Okay. Objective: implement input validation to ensure users provide correct, complete, and valid data in the Flutter applications. Key concepts: form validation. Use the form widget with a global key form state tag. Validator. Apply validator functions in text form field to check inputs. Input rules: validate required fields, email addresses, passwords, numbers, and custom formats. Error messages: displays clear and user-friendly validation feedback. Form submission: submit data only after successful validation using validate methods. Learning outcome: validate user input effectively using Flutter form validation techniques to improve data accuracy, application reliability, and user experience. Handle buttons, checkbox, switches, radio buttons, and drop-down menus. Objective: implement interactive input controls to capture user actions and selection in Flutter applications. Key concepts: buttons. Use elevated buttons, text buttons, and outlined buttons to trigger actions. Checkboxes allow users to select one or more options using checkbox. Switches enable users to toggle settings on or off with switch. Radio buttons allow users to select a single option from a group using radio. Drop-down menus present selectable options using drop-down buttons or drop-down buttons from fields. Learning outcome: develop interactive Flutter applications by implementing buttons, checkboxes, switches, radio buttons, and drop-down menus to capture and process user input effectively. Manage application states. Understand state management concepts. Objective: understand how state is managed in a Flutter to build dynamic, interactive, and responsive applications. Key concepts. State: understand the difference between local state and shared application state. Set state method: update the user interface by managing state within a stateful widget. State management approach: explore common techniques such as a provider, lever pod, bulk, block, and the gettext. Data flow: learn how data is parsed and synchronized between widgets. Performance: minimize unnecessary widgets, label widgets to improve application efficiency. Understand Flutter state management concepts and apply appropriate techniques to manage application data and updates. The user interfaces efficiently. Hano icyo turi kureba ku kintu kijyanye na widget. Hano rero tuba turi kureba hagati ya stateful na stateless, set state, uburyo tugenda updatinga. Iyo tuvuze state ni understandinga itandukaniro riri hagati ya local ndetse na shared application state. Hari izikoreshwa hagati n'izizajya zisangizwa abandi. Set state method ni uburyo bwo kuvugurura user interface kandi ukagenda ugena uko bigenda bikora ukoresheje stateful. State management approaches, hano ni exploration common, ni tekinike yabaye gikwira abantu bakoresha, aho umuntu akenera provider, refer pod, block, agakenera na get. Yego, ibi twari twabibonye. Use set state methods. Objective: they use a set state method to update the user interface in response to user interactions and data changes within a stateful widget. Kuvuga ngo set state idufasha kuvugurura ibintu byose biri gukora muri ya widget yacu, ariko tunyuze mu nzira ya kure yitwa stateful widget. Key concepts: state updates, modify widgets state using set state. Ukeneye kuvugurura widget, nituvuga widget uyitekereze nka page, biragufasha page, sibyo? Page, yego. User interface refresh, automatically rebuild widget when the state changes. User interaction, respond to button clicks, form inputs and other events. State variables, store and update dynamic data within stateful widgets. Efficient rebuilding, update only the necessary parts of the user interface. Learning outcome: use a set state effectively to manage local state and create responsive, interactive Flutter applications. Implementation provider objective: use the provider package to manage and share application state efficiently across multiple widgets. Key concepts: provider setup, add and configure the provider package in a Flutter project. Change notifier, create a model by extending change notifier to manage states. Change notifier provider provides state to the widget tree. Consumer and provider.off function method access and update share state within widgets. State update, notify listeners using notify listeners methods to rebuild effective widgets. Learning outcomes: implement the provider state management solution to create scalable, maintainable, and efficient Flutter applications with shared state management. Liver pod objective: use the liver pod to manage application state in scalable, testable, and maintainable Flutter applications. Key concepts: liver pod setup, add and configure the Flutter liver pod package. Providers, create and use provider, state provider, set notifier provider. and the feature provider. Consumer widgets assess and react to state changes using consumer widgets and widget list. State updates manage and update application state efficiently with Liverport providers, dependency injection, share and access state across the widget tree without delaying or no buried context. Learning outcome, implement Liverport to manage application state efficiently, enabling scalable, maintainable, and testable Flutter applications. Block or getEx for larger applications. Objective: use a block or getEx to manage complex application state and business logics in a larger scale Flutter applications. Iyi block na getEx tuzikoresha iyo dufite software nini cyane, yego iri complicated. Software z'ibigo by'amashuri, izo kwa muganga ndetse n'iz'ubucuruzi mpuzamahanga, yego. Key concepts: block pattern, separate business logics from the user interface using events, states, and block architecture. getEx means to manage the state navigation and the dependency injection with a lightweight and efficient framework. A scalable architecture organizes code into reusable, maintainable, and testable modules. State management handles complex data flow and synchronizes user updates efficiently. Performance optimization reduces unnecessary widgets, rebuilds, and improve application responsiveness. Implement block or getEx to build scalable, maintainable, and high-performance Flutter application with efficient state management and clean architecture. Work with local data. Store data using shared preferences. Use SQLite for local databases. Read and write files. Cache applications data. Store data using shared preferences. Objective: use shared preferences to store and retrieve simple, persistent data in Flutter applications. Key concepts: set up, add and configure the shared underscore preferences package. Save data, store simple data types such as string, int, double, bool, and list tag string. Retrieve data, read stored values when the application starts or when needed. Update and remove. Modify or delete stored data as required. Use cases: save user preferences, login status, app settings, and other lightweight data. Learning outcome: store, retrieve, update, and manage simple persistence data using shared preferences to enhance the functionality and user experience of Flutter applications. Use SQLite for local databases objectives. Implement SQLite to store, retrieve, operate, and manage structured data locally in Flutter applications. Key concepts: setup and setup means to add and configure the SQLite package. Okay, database creation. Create and initialize local SQLite databases and tables. CRUD operations. Perform create, read, update, delete operations. Queries. Retrieve and filter data efficiently using SQL queries. Data persistence. Store applications data securely for offline access and long-term use. Learning outcome: use SQLite to build local databases that support efficient data storage, retrieval, and management in Flutter applications. Read and write files. Objective: implement files handling in a Flutter application is to read, write, and manage data stored on the device. Key concepts: file access. Use the .io library and path provider package to access device storage. Write files, save text, and other data to local files. Read files, retrieve and display data stored in a local files. File management: create, update, and delete files as needed. Data persistence: store applications data for offline use and future access. Learning outcomes: uh, read, write, and manage local files in Flutter applications to support persistent data storage and offline functionality. Cache application data. Objective: implement data caching to improve application performance, reduce network requests, and provide a better offline user experience. Key concepts: caching basics. Store frequently accessed data locally for fast retrieval. Local storage: cache data using packages such as shared preferences, Hive, or local files. Network caching. Cache API stand for Application Programming Interfaces. Responses to minimize repeated network requests. Cache management. Cache management: update, invalidate, and clear cached data when necessary. Offline support: retrieve cached data when an internet connection is unavailable. Implement application data caching to enhance performance, reduce network usage, and support offline functionality in Flutter applications. Connect to APIs. Consume RESTful API. Send, get, post, put, and delete requests. Parse JSON data. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Display dynamic data from servers. Consume RESTful APIs. Objective: integrate Flutter applications with RESTful APIs to retrieve send, update, and delete data from remote servers. Key concepts: HTTP requests. Use the HTTP package to perform GET, POST, PUT, and delete requests. JSON handling, parse, and serious JSON data using data. Okay, API integration means to connect Flutter applications to web services and the backend system, including databases. Error handling, handle network errors, timeouts, and invalid responses gracefully. Synchronous programming, use a future, ASIC, and await to process API requests efficiently. Learning outcome: consume RESTful API in Flutter applications by performing HTTP requests, processing JSON data, and handling asynchronous operations efficiently. Send, get, post, put, and delete requests. Objectives: use Flutter to communicate with RESTful APIs, application programming interfaces, by performing CRUD means create, read, update, delete operations through HTTP requests. Key concepts: get requests means to retrieve data from a remote server. Post requests means to send new data to create resources. Put request means to update existing resources on the server. Delete request means to remove the resources from the server. Request handling means the process responses, status codes, and errors using HTTP package with async and await. Learning outcome: send, get, post, put, and delete requests to interact with RESTful API application programming interfaces and manage remote data effectively in Flutter applications. Parse JSON, JavaScript object notation data. Objective: parse and convert JSON data into data objects for efficient processing and displaying in Flutter applications. Key concepts: JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON decoding: convert JSON string into data object using JSON decoder method. JSON encoding: convert data objects into JSON format using JSON encode method. Model classes: create data model classes with form from JSON method and to JSON method. Data mapping means to access and manipulate JSON objects and arrays. Error handling: validate and handle invalid or multi-formed JSON data. Learning outcome: parse, encode, by decode, parse, encode, and decode JSON data to integrate RESTful APIs, application program interfaces, and manage structured data effectively in Flutter applications. Display dynamic data from servers. Objective, retrieve and display dynamic data from remote servers in Flutter applications using RESTful APIs, application programming interfaces. Key concepts: data fetching means to retrieve data from servers using HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol requests. Synchronous programming means to use a feature, async, and await to handle network operations. Feature builder means to display loading, success, and error state, fetching data, list view, present dynamic data in scalable lists and grids. Error handling, handle network failures, timeouts, and empty responses gracefully. Learning outcome, display dynamic data from remote servers by fetching, processing, and presenting APIs responses in a responsive and user-friendly Flutter application. Okay, tugeze ku kintu bita implement Firebase authentication. Objective, integrate Firebase authentication to securely register, sign in, and manage users in Flutter applications. Nk'uko muri kubibona hano dufite login, tukagira register, tukagira na profile. Iyi ni nka dashboard uretse ko ni gatoya nyine ko kwigiraho ka testing. Key concepts: authentication setup, enable Firebase authentication and configure the Flutter project. Sign up and sign in means to implement user registration and login using email and password. Authentication methods support multiple sign-in options such as Google, phone, or anonymous authentication. User session management, monitor authentication state and manage user sessions, timeouts, destroy, and so on. Sign out and security means to implement secure logout and protect authenticated application features. Learning outcome: implement Firebase authentication to securely manage user registration, login, authentication state, and access control in Flutter applications. Store data using Cloud Firestore. Objective: use Cloud Store to store, retrieve, update, and synchronize application data in real time. Daily activity. Key concepts: Firestore setup, configure Cloud Store in a Flutter project, corrections and documents, organize data using corrections, documents, and fields, CRUD operations, create, read, update, and delete Firestore documents. Real-time updates means to listen, to read data changes using Firestore streams, Security rules apply Firestore security rules to protect application data and control user access. Learning outcome: store and manage applications data using Cloud Firestore, perform CRUD operations, and synchronize real-time data securely in Flutter applications. Upload images to Firebase storage. Objective: implement images upload and management using Firebase storage in a Flutter application. Key concept: a Firebase storage setup means to configure Firebase storage in a Flutter project. Image selection means to pick images from devices using package such as image_picker. Image upload means to upload to attach images securely to Firebase storage. Download URL. URL stands for Uniform Resources Locators. Means to retrieve image from URLs for displaying or storing in Cloud Firestore. Storage security means to apply Firebase storage security rules to protect uploaded files. Okay, learning outcomes: upload, store, and retrieve image using Firebase storage, enabling secure and efficient media management in Flutter applications. We move forward on send push notifications using Firebase Cloud Messaging (FCM). Objectives: implement Firebase Cloud Messaging (FCM). In other words, to send and receive push notifications in Flutter applications. Key concepts: FCM setup. Configure Firebase Cloud Messaging in the Flutter projects. Device registration. It means to obtain and manage FCM device tokens. Notifications messages means to send notification and data messages to devices. Message handling means to receive notifications when the app is in foreground, background, or terminated. Notification management means to customize notification, content, channels, and user interactions. Learning outcome: implement Firebase Cloud Messaging (FCM) to deliver reliable push notifications and enhance user management in Flutter applications. Build secure authentication systems. User registration, user login, password reset, session management, role-based authentication. User registration as the first object. Develop a secure user registration feature that allows new users to create accounts in a Flutter applications. Key concepts. A registration form means to create a sign-up form using text form field with input validation. Account creation means to register users using Firebase authentication or backend API application programming interfaces. Data validation means to verify email format, password strength, and required fields. User profile means to store user information in a Cloud Firestore or in other databases. Can be SQL, MongoDB, Postgre, security, and so on. Error handling means to display meaningful messages for registration, success, and failures. Learning outcome: implement a secure user registration system with input validation, account creation, and user profile storage in Flutter applications. User login. Objective: implement a secure user login system that authenticates users and grants access to protect features in a Flutter application. Key concepts: login form. Create a login form interface using text form field with input validation. Authentication means to verify user credentials using Firebase authentication or a backend API, application programming interface. Once again, session management means to maintain a user login state and restore sessions automatically. Navigation means to redirect authenticated users to the appropriate application screens. Error handling displays clear messages for invalid credentials, network errors, and authentication failures. Learning outcome: implement a secure user login system with authentication, session management, and error handling to provide a safe and seamless user experience in a Flutter application. Password reset. Objective: provide users with a secure password reset feature to recover access to their accounts. Key concepts: reset request means to allow users to request a password reset using their registered email address. Authentication services use a Firebase authentication or a backend API, application programming interface, to send password reset instructions. Input validation means to verify that email address is valid before sending the reset request. User feedback: display clear success, errors, and confirmation messages. Security means to ensure password reset requests are handled securely to protect user accounts. Learning outcomes: implement a secure password reset features that enables users to recover their accounts while maintaining application security and a positive user experience. Session management. Objective: manage user session to maintain authentication status and provide secure access to application features. Key concepts: user authentication state. Monitor and manage the user's login status. Session persistence. Keep user logged in across app restarts using a secure local storage or Firebase authentication. Automatic login means to restore active sessions when application launches. Logout is the end user session securely and clear authentication data. Access control means to restrict protected screens to authenticated users only. Learning outcome: implement secure session management to maintain user authentication, control access to applications features. and provide a seamless user experience. Role-based authentication objective: control access to application features by assigning and enforcing user roles after authentication. Key concepts: user roles: define roles such as admin, manager, and users. Role assignment: store user roles securely in a cloud file store or a backend database. Access control is to restrict screens, features, and actions based on user roles. Authorization means to verify user permissions after successful authentication. Security: enforce role validation on both the client and the server to prevent unauthorized access. Learning outcome: implement role-based authentication to provide secure, permission-based access to application features while protecting sensitive data and functionality. Work with device features: camera integration, GPS, okay, and location services, image picker, file picker, QR code scanner, biometric authentication, and sensors and notifications. Camera integration objective: to integrate device camera into a Flutter application to capture photos and support camera-based features. Key concept: camera setup: configure the camera and or image picker package in a Flutter project. Image capture means to capture photos using device cameras. Camera preview is to display a live camera previews before taking a picture. Image storage: save captured images locally or upload them to file-based storage. Permission means to request and manage cameras permissions for Android and iOS device. Learning outcome: integrate device camera into Flutter applications to capture, display, and manage images securely and efficiently. GPS and location services. Objective: to integrate GPS and local services to retrieve, monitor, and analyze and utilize devices' geographic location in Flutter applications. Key concepts: location setup means to configure location services using packages such as a geolocator or location permission request and manage application permissions for Android and OS. Current location means to retrieve a device's current latitude and longitude on the geographical areas. Real-time tracking means to monitor location updates for navigation and tracking applications. Map integration means to display user location and markers using Google Maps or other mapping services. Learning outcomes: implement GPS and location services to access, track, and display the user's location while handling permissions and ensuring an accurate location-aware user experience. Image picker objective: integrate image picker package to allow users to select images from the device gallery or capture new photos using camera. Key concepts. Package setup means to add and configure the image picker package in a Flutter project. Gallery selection means to select images from the device's photos gallery. Camera capture means to capture new photos using the device cameras. Image display to preview selected or captured images within application. Permissions means to request and manage camera and storage permission for Android and iOS. Learning outcome. Implement the image picker package to select, capture, display, and manage images efficiently in Flutter applications. File picker objective. Implement the file picker package to allow users browse, select, and manage files from their device in a Flutter applications. Key concepts: package setup and configure file picker package. File selection: select documents, images, videos, audios, and other supported file types. File access: retrieve file names, path, sizes, and extensions. File validation: restrict file types and validate file size before processing. File management: read, upload, save, or share selected files as needed. Learning outcome: implement the file picker package to securely select, validate, and manage files in Flutter applications, enabling efficient file handling and user interaction. QR code scanner. Objective: integrate a QR code scanner into a Flutter application to scan, decode, and process QR code data. Key concepts: scanner setup means to add and configure a QR code scanning package such as a mobile scanner or QR code scanner. Camera integration means to access the device camera to scan QR codes. QR codes detection means to detect and decode QR code content in the real time. Data processing means to validate and use the scanned data for navigation, authentication, payments, or information retrieval. Permission and error handling means to manage camera's permissions and handle scanning errors or invalid QR codes. Learning outcomes: implement a QR codes scanner in Flutter application to scan, decode, and process QR codes data securely and efficiently. Biometric authentication. Objective: implement biometric authentication to securely verify user identity using a device's fingerprint or facial recognition features. Key concept: biometric setup means to configure biometric authentication using the local auth package. Authentication methods support fingerprint, face ID, facial recognition where available and possible. Device capability means to check whether biometric authentication is supported and enrolled on the device. Secure login means to authenticate users before granting access to protect features or sensitive data. Fallback authentication means to provide alternative authentication methods such as a PIN or a password if biometric are unvariable or fail. Learning outcome. Implement biometric authentication to enhance application security by enabling secure user verification through fingerprints or facial recognition while supporting fallback authentication methods. Sensors and notifications. Objective. Integrate device sensors and notification services to create a responsive and interactive, a context-aware Flutter applications. Key concept: device sensors means to access sensors such as accelerometers, gyroscope, magnetometers, and proximity sensors using Flutter packages. Sensor data means to read and process real-time sensor data for application features. Local notifications, schedule and display notifications using packages such as a Flutter, local notifications, and so on. Push notifications, deliver remote notifications using Firebase Cloud Messaging (FCM). Permission and background services means to manage notifications, permissions, and handle notifications in the foreground, background, and terminated states. Learning outcome: implement devices, sensors, integration, and local or push notifications to develop interactive, responsive, and user-friendly Flutter applications. Device offering capable applications. Thank you so much. Means the synchronize local and online data, handle internet connectivity changes, disrupts, implement offline storage and caching, synchronize local and online data. Objective: implement data synchronization between local storage and remote servers to ensure data consistency and support offline functionalities. Key concepts: offline storage means to store data locally using SQLite, Hive, or shared preferences. Online synchronization means to sync local data with cloud databases or RESTful API application programming interfaces when an internet connection is available. Conflict resolutions means to detect and resolve data conflicts during synchronization. Automatic sync means to schedule background synchronization to keep data up to date. Error handling means to handle network failures, retries, and data consistent issues. Learning outcome: synchronize local and online data efficiently to provide reliable offline access, maintain data consistency, and enhance user experience in Flutter applications. Full stop. Handle internet connectivity trends. Objectives: monitor and respond to internet connectivity trends to ensure reliable application performance and seamless user experience. Handle internet connectivity objectives. Okay. Key concepts. Connectivity monitoring means to detect network status using packages such as the Connectivity Plus. Connection states means to identify Wi-Fi, mobile data, and offline modes. Offline handling means to display appropriate messages and enable offline functionality when no connection is available. Automatic connection, retry failed requests, and synchronize pending data when connectivity is restored. User experience, notify users to connectivity changes and maintain application stability. Learning outcome, implement internet connectivity, monitoring, and the automatic recovery mechanisms to support reliable online and offline functionality in Flutter applications. Implement offline storage and caching objectives. Implement offline storage and data caching to improve application performance, reduce network dependence, and support offline access. Key concepts: local storage. Store data using SQLite, Hive, or shared preferences. Data caching. Cache frequently accessed data and application programming interface means API responses for faster retrieval. Offline access allow users to access previously stored data without an internet connection. Data synchronization means to update local and remote data when connectivity is restored. Cache management, refresh, invalidate, and clear cached data to maintain consistency. Learning outcomes, implement offline storage and caching to provide fast, reliable, and seamless access to application data while supporting offline functionality in Flutter applications. Improve application performance. Optimize widget rebuilding. Reduce memory usage. Improve startup speed. Debug performance issues using Flutter Dev tool. Optimize widget rebuilding objective. Improve Flutter application performance by minimizing unnecessary widget rebuilds and rendering only affected parts of the user interface. Key concepts: efficient state management. Use a set state function method only when necessary and adopt provider leave a pod, block, or getx for scalable state update. Do you understand? Const widget. Use const constructors to prevent unnecessary widget rebuilds. Build atoms only. Widget decomposition. Split large widgets into smaller breaks a large system, large widget into smaller, reusable, better manageability. Reusable widgets to limit the build scope. Selective building. Use a consumer selector, a value listenable builder or stream builder to rebuild only the required widgets. Performance analysis. Use a Flutter Dev tools to identify and optimize rendering and rebuilding performance. Learning outcome. Optimizing widgets. Rebuilding by applying efficient state management, reusable widgets, and performance optimization techniques to create a fast and responsive Flutter applications. Reduce memory usage. Objective: optimize Flutter applications to minimize memory consumption and improve performance, responsiveness, and stability. Key concepts: efficient widget usage means to reuse widget and use constructors when possible. Resource management: dispose of controller, stream, animations, and other resources when no longer needed. Lazy loading: to load data and image only when required using widgets such as restview.builder. Image optimization means to compress, resize, and cache images to reduce memory usage. Performance monitoring: use Flutter Dev tool to detect memory leaks and analyze memory allocation. Learning outcomes: reduce memory usage by managing resources efficiently, optimizing widgets, and applying best practices to build high-performance Flutter applications. Improve startup speed. Objective: optimize Flutter application startup time to provide a faster launch, of course, experience and improve overall user satisfaction. Key concept: minimize utilization. To load only essential resources during application startup. Less loading. Defer loading of non-critical data, screens, and services until they are needed. Optimize assets. Compress images, reduce assets, resize, and remove unused resources. Reduce dependencies, eliminate unnecessary packages, and optimize third-party libraries. Performance profiling: use Flutter Dev tools to measure startup performance and identify bottlenecks. Learning outcomes: improve Flutter application startup speed by optimizing and initialization, reducing resources usage, and applying performance best practices for fast and responsive user experience. Debug performance issues using Flutter Dev tools. Objective: use a Flutter Dev tools to identify, analyze, and resolve performance issues in Flutter applications. Key concepts: performance profiler to monitor CPU usage, frame rendering, and application responsiveness. Widget inspector. Examine the widget tree and identify unnecessary widget rebuilds. Memory analysis. Detect memory leaks. Monitor memory allocation and optimize resource usage. Network monitoring. Analyze network requests and identify latency or performance bottlenecks. Performance optimization. Use profiling results to improve rendering speed, reduce startup time, and enhance application efficiency. Learning outcome. Use a Flutter Diff tool to diagnose and optimize application performance by analyzing rendering, memory, network activities, and widget rebuilds, resulting in fast and efficient Flutter applications. Test Flutter applications. Write unit test. Perform widget testing. Conduct integration testing. Rebuild fixed application errors. Write unit test. Objective. Create a unit test to verify the correctness of individual functions, classes, and business logics in Flutter applications. Review that image. You have three main component paragraph. Okay, integration tests, test complete application flow, component test, verify widget behavior, unit test, test individual functions. Key concept, testing framework. Use the test and the Flutter test package to write unit tests. Test cases means to verify expected behavior for functions, methods, and classes. Assertions use expect methods to compare actual and the expected results. Mocking means to simulate dependencies using mock objects for isolated testing. Test automation. Learn and maintain automated unit tests to ensure code reliability and prevent regressions. Learning outcome. Write unit tests to validate application logics, improve code quality, and ensure reliable, maintainable flat applications. Perform widget testing. Objective. Test Flutter widgets to verify that user interface components render correctly and respond as expected to user interactions. Key concepts. Widget testing framework means to use the Flutter_test package to create the widget tests. Widget rendering means to verify that widgets are displayed with correct content and layout. User interaction refers to simulate user actions such as taps, text inputs, scrolling, and gestures. Do you understand? Assertion refers to use expect method to validate widget behavior and user interface states. Test automation means to execute widgets tests regularly to ensure consistent user interface functionality and prevent regressions. Learning outcome: perform widget testing to verify the appearance, behavior, and interaction of Flutter user interface components, ensuring reliable and high-quality applications. Conduct integration testing. Objective: perform integration testing to verify that multiple components of a Flutter application work together correctly as a complete system. Key concepts: integration testing framework. Use integration test package to create end-to-end tests. Workflow testing means to validate complete user flows, such as login, navigation, form, submission, and data retrieval. System integration. Test integration is between the user interface, business logics, local storage, APIs, application programming interfaces, and file-based services. Assertion means to verify expected application between and the outcomes throughout the workflow. Automated testing: execute integration tests on no emulators, simulators, and physical devices to ensure application reliability. Learning outcome: conduct integration testing to validate complete application workflow, ensuring all components work together reliably and deliver a seamless user experience. Debug and fix application errors. Objective: identify, analyze, and resolve application errors to improve the reliability, stability, and performance of Flutter applications. Key concept: debugging tool. Use a Flutter diff tools, breakpoints, logging, and the debugger to locate issues. Error analysis means to interpret stack traces, exceptions, and runtime error messages. Bug resolution means to identify root causes and implement appropriate fixes for code and logic errors. Test validation means to verify fixes through unit widgets and integration testing. Performance monitoring: monitor application behavior to prevent regressions and ensure stability. Learning outcome: debug and fix application errors using Flutter debugging tools and testing techniques to develop stable, reliable, and high-quality Flutter applications. Deploy mobile applications. Generate Signet APKs and Apple bundles AAB. Build iOS applications. Publish app to Google Play Store. Prepare apps for Apple Store. Generate Signet APK and app bundle. Objective: generate Signet Android application packages APK Android application packages and Android app bundle AAB for secure distribution and deployment. Key concepts: keystore Key store creation means to create and manage a secure signing key store. Application signing to configure Flutter and the Android project settings for release signing. Generate AP key. Build a signed AP key for testing and direct installation. Generate ABB, AAB, sorry, means to build a signed Android app bundle for Google Play Store distribution. Release verification means to test signed builds to ensure proper functionality before deployment. Learning outcome: generate and assign Android APK AAB files for secure distribution, testing, and publishing Flutter applications to the Google Play Store. Build iOS applications. Objectives: build, configure, and prepare Flutter applications for deployment on iOS devices and Apple App Store. Key concepts: development environment means to set up Flutter, Xcode, and the Cocoa pods on Mac OS. iOS configuration means to configure app identifiers, signing certificates, and the provisioning profiles. Build process means to generate iOS release builds using Flutter and the Xcode. Testing: learn and test applications on iOS, simulators, and physical devices. App Store preparation: validate the application and prepare it for submission to Apple App Store. Learning outcome: build, configure, test, and prepare Flutter iOS application for secure deployment and the distribution through the Apple App Store. Publish apps to the Google Play Store. Objective: prepare, submit, and publish Flutter applications to the Google Play Store for public distribution. Key concepts: Google Play Console. Refer to create and configure an application in the Google Play Console. Release preparation: to upload a signed Android and bundle AAB. Configure app details, icons, screenshots, and version information. Store listing means to create a complete store listing with distributions, graphics, and contact information. Testing and review. Perform internal closet or open testing and address issues before production release. Production release means to submit the application for Google Play review, publish it, and manage future updates and releases. Learning outcome: publish Flutter applications to the Google Play Store by preparing release, builds, complete store listing, managing testing, and deploying production-ready application. Prepare, app, prepare apps for Apple App Store. Object. Prepare Flutter iOS applications for submission and distribution through the Apple App Store. Key concepts. Apple Store Connect means to create and configure an application in App Store Connect. App configuration. Set the app name, bundle identifier, version icon, launch screen, permissions, and the previous settings. Code signing. Configure app developer certificates, provisioning profiles, and re-signing in Xcode. App validation means to test application on iOS devices, achieve the release build, and validate it before submission. App submission. Upload the application, complete the App Store listening, provide screenshots and the metadata, and submit it for apps review. Learning outcome. Prepare Flutter application for Apple Store by configuring, validating, signing, and submitting production-ready iOS applications that meets Apple's publishing requirements. Develop complete mobile applications. Okay, try your best. Try your best, dear friend. Allow me to move forward on applying software engineering best practices. Organize Flutter projects using clean architecture, flow coding standards, and best practices. Use a Git and GitHub for versioning control. Document code effectively. Work collaboratively in development teams. Organize Flutter project using clean architecture objective. Design and organize Flutter application using clean architecture to improve scalability, maintainability, and code quality. Key concept. Layered architecture separates the application into presentation, domain, and data layers. Separation of concerns means to isolate business logics, user interface, and data access responsibilities. Dependency injection means to manage dependencies using tools such as Getit or Injectable. Repository pattern abstract that sources to simplify data management and testing. Scalable project structure means to organize features, models, services, repositories, and utilities for easier maintenance and feature expansion. Learning outcome. Organize Flutter projects using clean architecture principles to build scalable, maintainable, testable, and high-quality mobile applications. Flow coding standards and best practices. Objective. Apply Flutter and Ducky coding standards and best practices to develop clean, readable, maintainable, and high-quality applications. Key concepts. Code style. Follow the official dark style guide and use consistent naming conventions and formatting. Clean code. Write modular, reusable, and well-documented code with clear separation of concerns. Error handling. Implement proper exceptions handling and input validation to improve reliability. Code quality. Use static analysis, Flutter analyze, lint rules, and code reviews to maintain quality. Version control means to manage source code effectively using Git and collaborative development workflows. Learning outcome. Apply Flutter and Dati programming coding standards and best practices to develop clean, maintainable, secure, and scalable mobile applications. Use Git and GitHub for versioning control. Objective. Use Git and GitHub to manage source code, track changes, and collaborate effectively on Flutter objects. Key concepts. Git basics. Initialize repository, stage changes, commit updates, and manage project history. Branching and merging means to create branches, merge changes, and resolve merge conflicts. GitHub repositories means to create, clone, push, pull, and manage remote repositories. Collaboration means to use pull requests, code reviews, and issues tracking to support team development. Version control best practices. Write meaningful commit messages, maintain clean branches, and protect the main branch. Learning outcome. Use Git and GitHub to track code changes, collaborate with development teams, and manage Flutter projects efficiently using industry standard version control practices. Document code effectively. Objective. Create clear and comprehensive code documentation to improve readability, maintainability, and collaboration in Flutter documentation, Flutter application. Okay, key concepts. Code comments means to write meaningful comment to explain complex logics and important implementation details. Documentation comments. Use a dirty documentation, triple false slash, to describe classes, methods, functions, and variables. README files means refer to the document, project setup, features, dependencies, installation steps, and the usage instructions. API application programming interface documentation. Clearly describe parameters, return values, and expected behavior of public methods. Documentation best practices. Keep documentation accurate, concise, and updated as a code evolves. Learning outcome. Document Flutter applications effectively by writing clear code comments, APIs documentation, and the project documentation to support maintainability, collaboration, and the long-term development, of course. Workflow collaboratively in the development teams. Objective: collaborate effectively with team members to plan, develop, test, and maintain Flutter applications using professional software development practices. Key concepts: team collaboration means to communicate effectively with developers, designers, testers, and the project managers. Version control: use Git and GitHub for collaborative development, branching, merging, and code reviews. Agile practices means to participate in sprint planning, their stand-ups, task tracking, and retrospectives. Code reviews means review and improve code quality by providing and receiving constructive feedback. Project management means to use tools such as GitHub Projects, Jira, or Trello to manage tasks, issues, and the project progress. Learning outcome: work effectively in a development team by applying collaborative workflows, version control, agile methodologies, and code review practices to deliver high-quality Flutter applications. Overall courses, we goes to the end. Overall courses learning outcomes. Upon successful completion of the course, learners will be able to design, develop, test, deploy, and maintain responsive, secure, and high-performance cross-platform mobile applications using Flutter and Dart programming language, integrating local databases, REST APIs, application programming interfaces, Firebase services as a database, modern state management techniques, while following software engineering best practices. Thank you for this moment. God bless you. See you later.